We are speaking about capital access for job creators, SMEs, and startups in the market. I would like to start off my question for the Ethiopian Capital Market Authority, asking about your vision for SMEs. As Ethiopia's first capital market regulator, the Ethiopian capital market plays a central role in shaping the country's emerging financial landscape. For those that are unfamiliar with your mandate, could you outline ECMA's broader vision and how the development of a capital market is expected to expand financial opportunities for SMEs and startups? And if you can highlight a bit about the work you do with the IPO clinic and with the collective investment scheme directive, which is very promising. Thank you.
Thank you, Obi, and good afternoon, everybody. So, capital market and SME, the history of capital market and the SME is a very recent phenomenon. Of course, there was the private part of the capital market that SMEs used to navigate. But since basically 2012, with the Jobs Act in the United States and the introduction of the crowdfunding and other exemptions, serious thinking has been going on the capital formation for SMEs. So everybody understands and agrees that capital market, the traditional capital market, is not conducive for SME capital formation. Everybody agrees on that, but the issue is the solution. Everybody tries different kind, each jurisdiction tries different kinds of approach to resolve this kind of issue, but still this is on a trial basis. So coming to the Ethiopian Capital Market Authority, this is something that we started early on compared to other jurisdictions. For example, in the US, the capital market, the regulated capital market has been in existence since 1933, but a dedicated office was established at the US SEC in 2018. That was the first time that they started serious consideration of capital formation for SMEs. So everybody knows, and the presentation by Dr. Evans showed us, what kind of gap is there in the capital formation for SMEs. This is also true for Ethiopia, as we saw the presentation by Dr. Evans. So what our vision at the ECMA is to create a capital market that's conducive for capital formation for SMEs. So what does it mean? What it means is, what we did was established an office in the ECMA that is dedicated for capital formation for SMEs. This is an advocate office strictly working for assisting and creating a conducive atmosphere for SME capital formation. So the traditional capital market is not conducive for SMEs. What does it mean? What it means is, it's burdensome for SMEs. Why is it burdensome? The disclosure requirement, the primary disclosure requirement, as well as the ongoing reporting requirement would require a lot of resources from SMEs. Preparing the offering document is not an easy job. It requires an extensive investment in capital, retaining the services of service providers, and adjusting your financial statement, your corporate structure, and other things that are that will cost the issuer a lot of money. So, what the solution for that is the private market. So within the ECMA, what we did was, from the get-go, we had in mind we had in our mind when we draft our legal framework, so that there will be a space for SMEs to have a capital formation process within the capital market. Those are the exemptions, like Dr. Evans was saying earlier, the private market, the exemptions from the regulated market, then there is the CIS. We have seen the examples, the fund structures. We have discussion this morning about the directive that is going to come out from the SMEs, from the ECMA. That would be one process that the SMEs would be able to navigate the capital raise process. Then there is a crowdfunding directive that we are currently working on. It probably will be out and distributed to the for comment very soon. So that's another avenue that the SMEs would be able to raise capital without going through the burdensome process of the regular traditional capital market process. And then there is the transition that has to happen from the private sector to the public market. And we have seen earlier this morning about the IPO clinic, mentioning of by I believe it was the regulator from Rwanda, talking about the investment education part from in their authority. So what we have here is the IPO clinic. This IPO clinic will, once the SMEs have gone through the private process, the private raising of capital through the private placement and other private process, then we want them to grow into and come into the public market. So the IPO clinic will assist them in getting ready for this public market. So that's one thing that we already have done. And there is a sandbox. That's the sandbox would be, SMEs would be able to access the sandbox and grow and incubate it in that process and graduate into the public market. So those are some of the things that's been conducted at the ECMA. Then that's not enough, that's not sufficient. These SMEs has to be connected to investors. So this advocate office will be doing this connection between the investors and the SMEs. And also we have to do the kind of education, educate the investors, the kind of risk that they are getting into when they invest in this kind of entities, and so that they will be able to adequately protect the investors too. So that's another that's another task that this office is handling. Then there is also advocacy. This office is charged to do advocacy. What that means is whenever, before any kind of legal framework is going to come out of the ECMA, this office will be studying that legal framework, try to understand the impact on the SME capital formation and everything, and it will be advocating for, for a proper handling of issues that's going to affect the SME capital formation. Then SMEs, the issue is the SME does not end with the capital formation either. So the other, major component about SME is, market access to market, and other issues. So, and also there are a lot of institutions and entities that work on SMEs. So it's imperative that we also do connected work across this structure. So the other thing that this office is going to do is, communicate with other regulatory entities, private entities, and other, it could be, what do you call them, like the FSD Africa, FDB, AFD, all those kind of supporting entities, so that the work that we all do will be coordinated and fruitful. So this is what has been being done at the ECMA, but it's not going to be enough. We'll have to be, creative, and we will, in the near future, we'll have to come up with products and services that are going to be, that will help SMEs have access to capital. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much for a very comprehensive response. And if we can give one more round of applause for all the stakeholders that do support the Ethiopian Capital Market Authority as well. I think a lot of the work that they're able to do, especially in terms of like making the market more accessible for this segment, SMEs and startups, is in a lot of parts thanks to these stakeholders and to the wonderful mandate and the vision that you have. So as was mentioned by Salamon, they have crowdfunding directives that are coming out, the IPO clinic as well that you might have heard about. So although the role of SMEs and startups may not seem clear initially, a lot of the pathways that they're forming and the funding structures that will be allowed through their directives will have a rippling effect. So I just wanted to take that away. So now that we've spoken to the regulator, I would like to turn to Samiya from Ethiopian Youth Entrepreneurs Association. And you can tell us a bit about what the association does. But my question specifically is to understand how you're advocating for these youths and SMEs. So the organization has been proactive in designing innovative financing solution with partners. Recently, the Kenna program with Commercial Bank of Ethiopia provides collateral-free loans, which is a very important thing. As we saw in Dr. Evans' presentation, one of the key challenges for access to finance for SMEs is the high collateral demand. So through this partnership, you're able to provide collateral-free loans to youth who complete your training, and you use alternative vetting in place of traditional guarantees. So how is the EYEA helping to improve the investor readiness of youth-led startups? And what would it take to scale up successful models such as this program to reach more business owners nationwide? And sorry, I hope it's not too heavy, but what are you doing to also make sure the program is not only in Addis, but expands more across the nation? Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. And I would like to say thank you so much for having me. And today we just celebrate this morning our 5th year anniversary of EYEA since we took our license. I think you guys have had no coffee after lunch. Okay, so we took the license 5 years back, but the intention of founding EYA was not like to be institutional. We young people come together and found this association at least to share information through ourselves and to network and to facilitate the market linkage. Because as most of you know that information is luxury, especially in Ethiopia. That was the very small vision. Then it grow every day, and we reach here. And our vision is simple. We are here to create enabling ecosystem for every young people to experience their potential. So when it comes to Kana, Kana means it's like standing up or like confidence. So we thought most of the young people, they are not like standing by themselves, and we have a lot of nannies, and I think these days our nannies is more than our number because we have a lot of programs here and there, and I'm really glad the Capital Market Authority, even you guys have the advocacy avenue and the IPO clinic. Even yesterday, Dr. Brook from EIH was mentioning about the Jam Startup program. In every ministry, even we talk with an ambassador in lunchtime about the Ministry of Labor and Skill. They have their own incubation program. So we are really happy because since 5 years back, nobody talking about us. Nobody cares about us. Even nobody knows about startup, innovation, entrepreneurship. And we are very glad that we did a lot of jobs, especially Zelala, because we did some program with UNDP. So we bring all stakeholders, especially the government officials, and we directly link with the young people, just like this event, almost 11 round of Zelala we did so far. It's a policy advocacy and networking platform. So through this platform, we push the government, the stakeholders, all the young people to have the agenda. Like the first thing we are doing at the association is we really proud that we make our agenda being an agenda, because nobody take it seriously and it was not a government agenda. And I'm really happy that even Capital Market take our agenda and even drafting a directive, as Mr. Salomon mentioned, even the crowdfunding directive, and everything is very good. One thing that we really achieved through Kana as we really want to avoid the duplication of efforts and the mandates, inter-mandate challenge. So, like one member of us can recruit for 5 or 6 programs in this country. So it's very difficult to monitorize the outcome. So that's our frustration, but it will be very easier if we all come together and work as actor, for example, if I can give some member of us, like for the pipeline of Mr. Solomon programs, for his directive and everything. So it needs more collaborative, not only with the government entities, but like the development partners as well. So when I come to Ghana, Ghana was not successful, by the way. Ghana is not successful because Ethiopian Commercial Bank of Ethiopia, the Ethiopian Commercial Bank, they keep like 1 billion, they keep 1 billion birr, Ethiopian birr, for every startup, 10 million Ethiopian birr. But 63 young entrepreneurs apply, only 3 of them can pass the due diligence, even if it is non-collateral. Because we are an association and we can't do the investment readiness and all the process. Because our purpose is just to bridge the missing link. So here, there's a lot of links that should bridge, like investment readiness, due diligence, and the development world, including the government entities. So because of the inter-mandate challenge, and I was not successful, is not successful even, but still the money is there in the commercial bank of Ethiopia. So I can't say nowadays access to finance is the only challenge, no. We have the money, but taking that money is also very hard because most of our startups are either one-person hustle or side hustle. So they are not like a team, just they are a player of one person, you know what I mean? So this is the critical challenge that I think maybe the crowdfunding and other new innovative and diversified finance approach will face in the future. So to avoid this, we need to really invest on investment readiness for the SMEs and startup. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you so much for your response, Samiya, and apologies for making it short. It's due to time constraint, as you mentioned, and I wanted to also kind of include this program because even at times with the best of intentions, this was a collateral free, but it seems that the ability for these enterprises to absorb it was maybe not there. And this is a challenge that we oftentimes see. So we will continue with the next question. And if you want to ask Samiya or Solomon more questions, you will find them walking around. So continuing with Dr. Evans, and thank you again for a wonderful presentation. So FSD Africa's investment approach to ecosystem building. FSD Africa has supported capital market development across the continent, and you have involvements here as well. You work through technical assistance, co-investment in infrastructure, and policy support. In the context of Ethiopia's nascent capital market, how did FSD assess when and how to engage, and what specific conditions and signals give you confidence that that this environment or any environment is ready? Because I think as Ethiopians, we're very happy that the stock market is live, but we also want to see when do we become like the successful African countries that we see? When are we going to make the news? What is your honest assessment? Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question. I think the most important thing when you're developing a market is to look at policy support. And I'm actually very proud that in Ethiopia, there was very clear government support for the development of the capital markets here in Ethiopia. So we were very, very convinced about that. And of course, once we have the buy-in, the policy support, the rest is very technical now. It can be done. Setting up an exchange is not rocket science. You can set an exchange. We are very happy that we're involved in the setup of the exchange from the very beginning. And of course, supporting ECMA, supporting the establishment of the CST as well. But I think it really had to come from the very significant support that we received from all the way from the Prime Minister, the Ministry of Finance, the National Bank of Ethiopia. We were very encouraged. Ethiopian Investment Holdings were very, very encouraged by that level of support. Because in a market, you need a conducive environment, an enabling environment. So even passing the proclamation required a lot of engagement, and it was a sign that after 50 years without an exchange, the country was basically ready for it. So the timing, I think, was quite good for that. So that was the precondition. And then the second one, of course, is the champions of change. If you go to any market, you need to find people who are willing to change, who are willing to put in the effort, to work long hours, sometimes without pay and all that. And again, we are very, very, very encouraged by the passion that we saw here. A lot of the stakeholders we engaged, who are really big champions, they didn't have prior experience in capital markets here in Ethiopia, but because of their passion and commitment, they were able to learn the ropes very, very quickly and all that. So within a very, very short period of time, Ethiopia has been able to establish very solid foundations, both on the policy, regulatory environment, market infrastructure. We are now seeing products coming to the market. I mean, Tilahun was here yesterday talking about $7 billion of transactions in the money markets in less than 1 year. I can almost guarantee you most of the exchanges in Africa don't see those kind of volumes. We have 3 companies listed, but I think the potential is huge. So if you look at the SOE space, there are very, very many companies there. I mean, a good number of companies that can come. If you get even 3 of them to list in the market capitalization of Ethiopia Securities Exchange will be the second in Africa, with 3 or 4 new additional listings, some of the larger SOEs. And then, of course, after that, we need to work very hard to look at the private sector, because we also need the private sector to use the exchange more. We shouldn't see the exchange as an avenue for basically democratizing ownership in the country through privatizations. No, it should not stop there. I think that should just be a signal from the government. But now we need to see the private sector coming in to list equities. But I think the biggest potential I see is also on the debt side. Corporates coming to the market to raise corporate debts using different instruments. We had the Honorable Minister talking about the sovereign also coming to the market to issue government securities, treasury bonds at market-based kind of interest rates and all that. That's really a very strong foundation. So I'm actually very, very excited about the prospect here in Ethiopia. And I think, as I mentioned very briefly yesterday, giving all those issuers access to the market, to capital, is very important. Of course, that will not be the end of it. The next phase of reforms that will need to be done will be around improving liquidity in the secondary markets. And that's also a very big task, but that's eventually very important in terms of reducing the cost of capital. Because getting capital is important, but then eventually also getting cheaper capital is important. That's on the supply side or the demand side. And then for the investors, we need to be able to see a variety of instruments, products where investors can invest that match their risk return profiles. And I hope as they do that, they also invest with an impact in perspective. You know, we had about ESG in the morning. Investing with impact is very, very important, because that's how we're able to provide services, basic services, education, health, and also create jobs for a very young population, median age of less than 20 years. I think that's going to be very important. One thing that strikes me every time I come to Addis and I drive around is the sheer number of building construction projects that are going on. I mean, these are worth billions of dollars, billions and billions of dollars. Sometimes I wonder, how do these entrepreneurs or developers access capital? I doubt whether it's from the banks. I think it's actually from the households or the businesses and all that. I think if we can organize that market in a way where we can see real estate investment products coming to the market, development REITs, for developing the projects, and then of course you can exit from the D-REITs into the I-REITs or investment or income REITs. I think that will be it can be a very big ecosystem. So I'm looking forward also to the CIS directive, because that will enable us to organize the property sector here or the real estate sector in Ethiopia, and also mobilize billions of dollars of savings from the households and corporates to more organized vehicles that can invest, because that's going to be one of the biggest tasks that we need to do and support here in Ethiopia, because of the need to diversify the investor base. And indeed, the investor base diversification is important for managing the cost of capital, because we need different players with different opinions on the same asset, so that we can get better price formation. That's what we call it. Yeah, so that will come over time, but I think so far we are in a very good place. And I think if we hear if we get at least what Tilahun mentioned yesterday on the listings and all that, and especially if we can get some of the larger ones, I've been betting with my friends that Ethiopia is going to be the second largest capital market in Africa in a few years. Yeah, so I'm willing to bet on that, and anyone who is willing to take me on that, you can see me after this. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Evans, for a very comprehensive overview and for sharing your perspective. And thank you for the encouragement. It's always nice to hear, and I hope we can make it there. So our last question, but certainly not the least, is for Monsieur Louis-Antoine Souchet from Agence Française de Développement. So AFD has been a key supporter in Ethiopia's economic reforms. I believe there is a large multi-million euro initiative to build initiative capital markets for youth and women-led enterprises. So if you can expand a bit on that. And I'm also curious to see in particular what innovative financing mechanisms such as guarantees, blended capital structures, or public-private co-financing platforms does AFC see as the most relevant to Ethiopia? And how are you working with other partners in the EU, African Guarantee Fund, African Development Bank, or any other stakeholders that are relevant? And what lessons can be drawn? Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Obsi. So, hi everyone. Well, maybe, yeah, just to recall that so the French Development Agency is the bilateral development bank of the French government. And indeed, we've been supporting the homegrown economic reform agenda since 2019 to support this bold transformation of the Ethiopian economy. With, one strong focus, obviously, on SOEs sector reform, so both on the oversight by the government, supporting the creation of EYEA, but also on the governance and performance of state-owned enterprises. But one other main aspect of our support was targeted on capital markets, because of course, we are convinced that for transforming an economy, you need, a deep and liquid capital market, to tackle the needs of the different economic actors, whether private or public. So definitely it made sense to support this creation and strengthening of ECMA. So, this first phase of our support to ECMA was really, on this structuring of the institution, on its internal expertise. So with the embedded, brilliant advisors, and we have one among us on this panel, but also, a young professional program, and also a lot of peer-to-peer exchange on the MLCFT and other issues with the French counterparts. As a bilateral, this is also what we can bring as a added value. Now that ECMA has become a strong and a very well-known institution now, as you can see today. Last year the summit was at Skylight, so this year it's in the convention center, and so maybe next year you will need the stadium, I don't know, but it's quite impressive. So yeah, this we've really been committed to this strengthening in terms of expertise and HR of ECMA, and now, yeah, this project you mentioned on support to a capital market friendly for SMEs and startups is actually sort of a new phase in our good journey with ECMA. So targeting now more some specific areas. So we've been also initiating discussion, I think UNDP as well, on municipal bonds or pool funding for local governments. And I know how this is important. Before joining AFD, I was working for a big municipality in France, and most of our funding actually came from from bond issuance. So this is crucial, I think, also in this sector as well. But to come back to SMEs and startups, yeah, definitely we'll try also to keep on, having this very pragmatic and peer-to-peer approach on supporting, what Solomon largely described in terms of initiatives. It's also this, supporting this escalator you were mentioning. In terms of different financial instruments that ECMA can really be a key player on. We were mentioning this. Crowdfunding regulation. This will be, I think, also an important step. We'll try also to, have South exchanges with other ecosystems that we've been supporting across Africa, especially Rwanda or Tunisia. I think are quite good examples. So, yeah, this is, I think, the philosophy will try to continue, and as you mentioned, also working in close cooperation with different other partners, of course UNDP, AFDB, and yeah, this in terms of gathering the different tools we can bring in terms of guarantees, lines of credit for the banking sector. So we'll also, of course, work to improve the capacity of the banking sector to lend to SMEs. We've seen, in a recent UNDP report that I think 7 out of 10 SMEs in Ethiopia don't manage to have access to credit. So yeah, on the banking sector, we will, of course, bring some support, but this support and through this project, this support to ECMA, but also working closely with the ESX and with the private stakeholders as well. Entrepreneurs and their association incubators. Yeah, trying to find really the different tools that we can bring. Yeah, to actually find concrete and pragmatic solutions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the comprehensive response. If I may add, I believe that you also do work on capacity building, right? You guys support with the Ethiopian Capital Market Authority for human capital development, which is a very key area that other organizations are doing as well. So I would like to thank all of my panelists. I don't think we have time for more questions. So just wanted to mention for the Ethiopian Capital Market Authority, do go to their website if you're interested. You can see the directives there, see all the interesting clinics that they have. The Security Exchange also has the academy for the Ethiopian Youth Entrepreneur Association as well. They have Telegram channels so they can advertise Zalala events and more. FSD Africa has incredible reports that are published on the website. On your tables, there's a QR code with with a couple of projects that we've worked on together with the consortium. So on green bonds, sukuk bonds, which will be the presentation right after this and more. So I do encourage you to do that. And same with Agence Française de Développement. South-South cooperation can be something that they might launch in Ethiopia too. Thank you so much.